Hi, my name is Christopher Smith with Lantern News. Today I am interviewing Steve Rance, who is running for United States House of Representatives for Florida's 9th Congressional District. We'll be discussing policies he plans on bringing to Washington. Steve, good to have you.
Thanks, Chris. It's good to be here.
Jumping right into the questions. Given the economic crisis in regards to lower class Americans and middle class Americans, what are some policies you would support to address this issue?
Well, of course, I'd be interested in supporting policies for affordable housing, and definitely want to look at the economy for prices are up. One of the prices have been coming down, and right now they're lower than what they were in the Biden administration. But because of the war that we're experiencing in Iran, of course, we're seeing the fuel costs that are much higher. But that's a temporary sacrifice that we got to look at because we don't want Iran having a nuclear warhead, because if that were the case, we wouldn't have gasoline and the opportunity to have a podcast like this. So it's all an expense to protect our country. But I've listened to our president, President Donald Trump, who I support 110%. And he says that those costs are going to come down as soon as they get this situation taken care of in the Straits and with Iran. And I'm confident in that because, hey, Chris, this has been the only president in my lifetime. This has been the only president in my lifetime to keep his promises, promises made, promises kept. And I'm on board with his economic platform, with the America First movement agenda. And I believe that if we continue to have strong allies in Congress to support this president, then we're going to have a strong country. We're rebuilding our country right now. So that's going to bring our costs down. It's just a matter of, what Biden destroyed in 4 years in his administration. It's going to take a little longer for the Trump administration and the administration to follow to get things back in line where they need to be.
I do want to go back to, if I could get a little more detail out of you, just because
Sure.
it's such an important topic, and I try to get a little details out of people if I can. You mentioned affordable housing plans or like kind of policies. Could you, what's kind of like, what's that look like? What's something that, would come across your desk and you're like, oh yeah, definitely signing off on this, what's that look like?
Well, one, it's getting our interest rates down so that people can get into homes. Right now, interest rates are, I think they're still hovering around 7% or in that factor. So we need to bring the interest rates down so that
Interest
people
rates are
can,
huge. Yeah.
they're huge. And so we need to bring that down so that people can afford housing. And some people don't realize this, but when the interest rates are up the way they are, rent goes up and all these housing costs go up. So our president is working hard at bringing these interest rates back down. And if it weren't for the war that we're experiencing right now, I think that we would see interest rates closer to the 3.5, 4%. But because it is where it is right now, the costs are up. I think that by having energy independence in this country, that brings our costs down. So there's many factors that are involved into that. So it's just just a circumference of bringing all these things together to bring affordability down to where it needs to be. The tariffs play a part in that. Some people blame the tariffs for high cost, but no, actually the tariffs, that tariff revenue money will actually can be put into programs to lower cost of housing and bring the affordability down to where it needs to be.
Yeah, as far as I've read, their tariffs are kind of like a two-phase system. The first, sure, you get hit, locally or whatever, but in the coming years, if manufacturing increases, that increases demand for jobs, which increases the demand for the worker, which means higher
Exactly.
wages. Yeah, so
You just nailed something there as well, is because this president is very keen about companies, factories producing again in America and not outside of American soil. And so along that tariff line, these companies have the opportunity to build here in America, produce here in America, and therefore they don't have that tariff cost. So that savings then goes right along to the American people and those that are living here in the United States. So we need to bring jobs back to America.
Given the health crisis in America, especially in regards to specific things like obesity, like the rise in obesity, anxiety, depression, how would you address these issues?
I think Secretary Kennedy is doing a fantastic job in the position that he's in. Um, it's just a matter of one, education. We need to educate individuals on how to live healthier lives. Um, Two, I think people need to get over the fact that we got Trump derangement syndrome. We've got to stop catering to mental illness in this country and seek avenues that provides health for those individuals. You know, back in the 80s, the Democrats actually caused the problem that we're seeing right now. Back in the 80s, the Democrats moved to close institutions across the states. Well, what that did was that put those that were suffering from mental illness out on the streets. Now, some of those are homeless, living out in here in Florida. They're living in the woods and all that. If we still had institutions today, that would provide a care for people that fall into that category versus turning these individuals loose on the streets and not having any care or adequate housing or anything like that at all. So that put the burden now upon society. It increased the stress on law enforcement. It increased the stress on hospitals and doctors because I'm not saying that this is the total problem, but it was something that added to this problem. So if we had again institutions that could provide proper care for people that are suffering with this mental illness, I think it would allow our society to come back to some sort of normalcy.
Steve, what's your stance on abortion? And there's two questions really embedded here because you've got like the pro-life versus pro-choice question there, but there's also state versus federal. So, yeah.
Okay, well, on abortion, of course, I'm an ordained pastor, and
Oh, okay.
I'm a pro-lifer. So I'm a 20-year veteran of the military. I'm also of the United States Air Force, and I'm an
Good
ordained
branch, good branch.
pastor.
If I do
Yeah,
say
thank
so
you.
myself.
Were you in the Air Force?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So I learned something new today. That's the good thing about conversation is we always learn something new.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But by being a pastor, of course, I stand on biblical principles and I am pro-life. Um, I am, people get into the situation where they want to use abortion as a form of birth control, and I'm totally opposed to that. Uh, we've got, organizations and groups out there that stand. So, that's where I stand. I'm pro-life. I believe that life is at the time of conception, and so not only do we have the responsibility to protect those that are alive as citizens today, but we also have to respect and protect those lives that haven't been born yet, but are a life inside of the life of the mother.
And do you think you would try to keep it at the state level, or would you be interested in trying to bring it back to the federal level?
Well, I believe there's more power with this at the state level, and I
Okay.
think the state level would have more of a say than trying to dictate from the federal level. I'm not. I'm the type of person that policy should be made at the federal level, and then the federal level should get out of the way. We don't need more intrusion by government. I think that people need to have that liberty to make those decisions. So I think at the state level is where that should be handed back to.
Very good. Steve, what's your stance on age verification? There's been some legislation recently kind of scattered across the US. It's like on social media apps or operating systems just in general. So there's questions about there's kind of like underlying questions about you know, they'll be verifying age of minors, and there's also a kind of a question around data collection. And like some of these methods they'll use are like they'll have you take out your phone and do like a facial recognition thing, and so yeah, there's a lot of there's some uncertainty with this, and a lot of this legislation is kind of flown under the radar. While you mentioned like the war in Iran, that kind of stuff is taken precedence in a lot of media. But yeah, as far as age verification goes, and with data collection and such, what's your stance on this?
Well, my first stance is this: is I believe in parental priority here. I believe that the parents should have the say over their children, and they need to take that responsibility in the home and not make that a level of responsibility for state or federal government. uh, in a way to protect our children, because there are a lot of predators out there. I do believe that some sort of identification, just as we're trying to get the Save America Act passed, so that we have to show identification, so we don't have fraud in voting, but we have legal registered voters, citizens of this country voting. When we get into these AI apps and all these type of things, I think this stuff has infiltrated a path that it shouldn't have gone,
Mm-hmm.
and it does destroy children's lives. Children are vulnerable; their minds are still developing. They're very influential. And I believe that parents and churches and organizations as such are a formulating factor in helping develop the lives of our youth and our young people. And when you get AI in there, then you get other things in there and other factors with social media that can actually prey upon our children. And so we do need that level of protection. I'm not opposed to having that verification. It's being used actually in other countries right now. For example, my wife is from Brazil,
Mm-hmm.
and when I go to Brazil and do different things on online and on site, I have to verify who I am. Some of that is a live, or some of it is just taking my identification and putting it up there with my face to show who I am before that level of what would you call it,
Access.
access is
Yeah.
granted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that when we put forms of protection in here, that it's very important, because we have trafficking going on. We have all other sorts of problems going on, and this computer stuff has just opened the avenue for that. So to have protections put in place to protect anybody, whether it's an adult or a child, I think I'm for that.
On federal government spending, where are you on this? I usually kind of highlight uh, right before COVID. The number that I have is the government was spending 4.4 trillion roughly. This year, I think we're on track for about 7.2 trillion. So basically, do you think we're spending too little? Do you think we're spending where we should be? Do you think we're spending too much? Would you change? Would you like pull from other agencies and kind of put into another agency? What's your take on government spending?
Government spending, I think Congress hasn't been doing their job properly over a period of years. Personally, I don't think that we need individuals like Doge and places like that to come in if Congress were doing their jobs, because Congress controls the purse strings of this country. So, for example, if Congress were doing their job properly, then we wouldn't have had the lack of oversight when we had all this fraud going on with wasteful spending in Minnesota for these schools, these Somalia schools that were put in and funded. And if oversight was taking place, then this would have been spotted from the onset, and knowing that this funding was being misappropriated, and it would have been stopped, and then that therefore that we wouldn't have had that wasteful spending, and we would have stopped fraud before it got so far along. So I believe that if Congress was if we were actually doing our jobs in Congress the way that we should be doing jobs in Congress, then it would cut that wasteful spending, and we would have the necessary funds to fund the programs that are essential and important.
Steve, what's your stance on firearms?
I am for the Second Amendment, and I believe that any individual should, and according to our Constitution, should be allowed to have and bear arms. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Steve, are there any other policies you'd like to highlight? Things you're for or against?
Um, I don't know that there's a policy that I'm would absolutely say that I'm for or against out there as it comes up, as it is right now. But economic development is something that we need to be focusing on more at the local level here within the district.
Hmm.
I believe that we could be more aggressive with pulling in federal dollars. The Transportation and Infrastructure Division, we could do that as well. I don't know how familiar you are with Florida and especially the Ninth District,
No,
but
no.
the congestion is horrible there.
Okay.
And Congress does have the oversight over the federal roads that are being developed through there. And so I think that we've had lack of leadership from our representative currently in the Ninth District. And those are the reasons why I'm in this race is because we haven't had representation in the Ninth District. And so that lack of representation has prompted me and others that have contacted me and said, "Hey, we need good leadership in the Ninth District. Would you be willing to run?" And so that's why I stepped into this race. Is yes, I'm a man of integrity, and what I'm like I said before, the president that we have is promises made, promises kept. So if the man speaks it, whatever comes out of his mouth, you can pretty much take it to the bank that it's going to happen, because he's a man of his word on that. And I fall into that same category. If it comes out of my mouth, if I speak it, it might not happen on day one, but I'm going to do everything to enforce that and make sure that that does come to fruition. Um, this campaign that I'm running, actually, I call it my ministry by being a pastor. Of course, I feel the conviction in my heart that I'm being led to do this, and so I'm following through with that conviction. Um, Let me just look at some notes here that I have that I might want to follow through on something here. Um, I was looking at something a little bit earlier. Families are getting squeezed here in the district and across the nation. And of course, costs are up. We see insurance costs that are rising.
Hmm.
Insurance is a problem here in the state of Florida, and that needs to be addressed. So that's up. And we need to continue to secure our border. People say, and you hear it from a current Trump administration, that the border is secure. Yeah, we're having zero illegal border crossings, but the wall is not finished. So we need to continue to get the wall built and continue to completely secure our border so that we don't face what we've faced in the Biden administration in future years. My wife is an immigrant. She's legal. She's a legal immigrant to this country. I always used to tease people and say I could have taken her down to Mexico, thrown her across the border, and the government would pay me to have my wife. And of course, I say that with pun. But the thing is I'm
Depends on the
for.
administration.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm for legal immigration, and I want to make sure that our border is continued to remain secure, and that again, by doing that, that takes the wasteful spending out of having to deal with illegals in the country, and it puts our focus back on the legal processing of those immigrants that are coming through
Hmm.
the legal way, and we can put our focus on that, and dollars can be spent, and even time. The time that it takes to get the processing done of a legal immigrant, that can be increased because our focus isn't on the illegal side of things. So those are some areas, and of course, I want to continue to back the blue, bring federal dollars in to make sure that our law enforcement is taken care of. Of course, I don't think we need to be talking about the Save America Act. That should already be passed. We need to make sure that our elections continue to be secure, and that illegal individuals are not voting, but citizens of this country that have the right to vote. Those are the ones that are casting their ballots.
Yeah, I definitely need to take a look at the Save Act, see where that's at.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, that's all I've got for you. Um, it's been great having you.
Well, I
Oh, and
appreciate
I'm
that.
sorry.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
I almost skipped. I'm sorry. Where can people find you, Steve? Website?
Okay, the
Yeah.
website where I can be found is simple. It's my name, Steve Rance, and that's spelled STEVERANCE.org. SteveRance.org is where you can find me, and more information about me and the ministry campaign that we've launched and that we're running. But I would just encourage people to get involved. Our election here in the primary is August the 18th. Early voting will start in July. So I would just encourage folks to that are on your Lantern News podcast here and others to take a serious look at the campaign. Make sure that if you're not registered to vote, that you get registered to vote, and make sure that you do vote and take somebody to the polls with you. The only way that we're going to win this is together. I can't do this alone. I need everyone to get on board. And if you're a believer in this campaign, if you like what you hear and you like, as you see those things, you like what you hear and see, and you want to stand with this, then help me build this momentum. And I would love to represent you as your next representative in the U.S. House of Representatives, as your congressman. So, listen, I appreciate, Chris, the time that you've taken with me today to go over some of the issues. Don't let this be an end for those that are your listeners. Feel free to reach out to me. You can go to the website if you want to volunteer and serve on the campaign. There's places to sign up to do that there, places to get in contact with me. I'd love for your listeners that are in the district, if you'd like a yard sign, to put one of those out. If you'd like to make a financial contribution to this campaign, I would certainly appreciate that and love that, because it helps get our message out where it needs to be. And you can do all that through steverance.org.
Very good. Now, that's all I've got for you, Steve.
Well, Chris, thank you. I do appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man, but I appreciate what you're doing in helping others get the message out so that people can make a clear conscience choice of who they want to support in this election.
It's an important election for sure. These next
It
few,
sure is.
I think they're really gonna matter. So, Steve, thank you very much. It's been great having you.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Get a hold of me anytime. Be happy to come back.